So please, let's start. So when we say project scope, under the introduction, when we say project scope refers to all the work that must be done to complete the project successfully. So the project scope clearly states what work is included in the project, what work is not included, and what deliverables must be produced. The project must be produced. So here, the project manager must ensure that only the required work is done, no unnecessary work is added, the project is also completed on time, and the project stays within budget frame. For example, if a project is to build a 3-classroom block, the scope may include classroom, toilets, and roofing. So the classroom block here may not include staff accommodation or even what fencing, unless it is stated in the project scope. So I think the model gave an example using cooking. Okay. So let's use the illustration that the model used for the cooking. So example, when you are cooking what jollof, you may use what rice, tomatoes, oil, and spices, and you will not add what cassava or yam. So in the same way, a project also was used or uses only approved activity. So that is what is or what project scope is about. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not sharing this. Please, have you seen where in your book the model is used cooking as an example? Have you found that one? Please, have you seen it, or you can't find it so that I assist you to find it out?
You can't find it.
Before the importance of project scope management, the last paragraph and the last sentence, it is within, in simple ways, scope management is what you do not make sure that your project include or in the work relevance. So over there, it is telling us that it's giving us an example. So in short, when we say project scope, what I have explained, can somebody summarize it for us? When we say project scope, what is it about? Just in one sentence or 2 sentences. What is project scope? I want somebody to summarize it for us. Anything that you heard. What is project scope? In your own ways, not necessarily from the model. Hello.
Hi, madam.
I want somebody to tell me what. Okay, Eric at Safeco.
Hello,
Yeah.
madam, please can you hear me?
Please come again.
Hello.
Yes,
Can you
Eric.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so in my understanding about project scope, I mean, the scope specifically gives us the details about what the project is all about, the description, and the general activities to be carried out within the project.
Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you. Okay. Would somebody also like to add something or share what he or she heard?
Madam,
Yes, please.
my understanding is that it also talks about what is included and then what is excluded in a
Okay.
project. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in short, you can also take it from that angle. What is included, what is excluded, and what our brother also explained earlier, Eric. Okay. Thank you very much. So please, let's proceed. So now we are about meaning of project scope management. Project scope management. So now that we know what project scope is, then it is also important to find out what project scope management is about. So when we say project scope management, it refers to clearly defining all the work that needs to be done to successfully complete a project, such as please, are you doing procurement? Hello.
No, madam.
Oh yeah,
No.
okay, you're not okay. Okay. So let me say that when we say project scope management, it includes all the processes to make sure that the projects include all required work and nothing unnecessary. So it involves defining clearly what is part of the project and controlling what is included or what's excluded. Now let's go to the importance of project scope management. Importance of project scope management. So with the first one, it says that effective scope management ensures that stakeholders and team members alike understand the scope of the project whilst agreeing on how the project's goal will be met. So this is trying to say that the project scope management ensures that all stakeholders understand what is included in the project and agreed on how the project goal will be achieved. Then the point two also talks about what verification and approval. That is what the point two. Managing scope also sets up procedure for how work that is completed will be what verified and approved. So with that point, we are also trying to say that project scope management set up what procedure for checking that, let's say, purchase of goods or services what meet required before what approval. Then the third point also talks about, or the third importance of project scope management talks about what preventing scope creep. So in project management, when we say scope creep, what does it mean? I want somebody to assist us to explain the term scope creep in project management. I want somebody to assist us. So what is scope creep in project management? Nobody? Hello?
Hi.
Will somebody want to try a fair idea on scope creep? Okay.
Madam, please, you said scope what?
Scope creep.
Hey.
CREEP. or you can find it in your model. So that is the summary. I'm talking about the third point. The third point, it says that scope management helps avoid the challenges that a project might face without what a bloating scope and what on really requirement list. Okay, so here it means that's why I made mention of what scope creep. So that point is trying to say that project scope management helps avoid unnecessary work, like what adding extra specification to what the projects, because if the project is not well planned earlier, maybe as the project progresses, you see that sometimes unnecessary or additional features will be what required to be added in the project. But if maybe at the initial level it is planned on paper that maybe we are going towards by the end of it, this is what we want to see. Then it means that we are going to get ABC on the project, no more F, G, or K. So in that case, avoiding the unnecessary work or the extra addition, that is what the scope creep. Okay. Then the point 4 also talks about what it defines exclusions. That is, it clarifies what is not part of the projects. Okay, to avoid accidental spend or whatever task. So because if we don't have the scope, it means that any unnecessary additional expenses will come in a way, because since maybe there's not limited budget or the project is not drawn, the specification is not given, it means that at any point in time, anybody or any stakeholder can choose to come out with any idea that he or she thinks it will be better. But now, if we have the project scope, it means that there is not going to be additional or additional subtraction. So they are going basically or specifically on what the project scope to be achieved. So here, point 4, it says that it defines exclusion. That is, it clarifies what is not part in the project and to avoid other tasks. Then we have control mechanisms as point 5. Control mechanism. Who will help us with that point? To explain that point. Scope management establishes control mechanism to address factors that may result in changes during the project's life cycle. What do we mean by that point? Friends, do you want to come in?
No, madam. I wanted to come in during the scope creep, but I mean we've moved past it, so.
Oh, but better so you can ask something.
Oh, okay.
Because we are not far from that. Yeah.
Okay. So the scope creep, what I wanted to add was that it puts a framework to resist the changes and the expansion of the project, so that it can constrain resources and specification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the additional contribution. Okay.
Okay.
Please, will somebody help us with the explanation of point 5 as control mechanism? Okay, so why are we saying that project scope management serve as what or control mechanism? We are saying that because it establishes ways to what? Handle changes during the project life cycle. So meaning that you cannot just decide to change anything anyhow, unless maybe there is what an approved procedure being drawn in the project scope. Then the fourth point also talks about cost and time estimation. Cost and time estimation. So without defining scope, it is impossible to accurately estimate the total costs or delivery timeline. So changes in scope due to, let's say, poor communication can increase costs and also delay in the project schedule. So aside the importance of project scope management, we also have some problems that are associated with project scope management. So some of them are one, ambiguity. So here it says that ambiguity in scope often leads to unnecessary work and confusion. So to avoid this, the scope needs to be what? Clearly defined and to the what? To the point. So this one also is trying to give an idea that vague scope leads to what? Confusion and unnecessary what? Let's say cost. So to avoid this, we are saying that scope must be what? Clear and precise. Because if the scope that you have what come out pertaining the existing project is not well understood by the various stakeholders, that is what we are trying to say, that it will lead to what? Confusion and unnecessary expenses in the project or unnecessary tasks. So it is very important to always have the project scope very clear. Then the point 2 under the problems also talks about incomplete definition. So here, incomplete scope leads to a schedule slip, which leads to cost overrun. So to avoid this, the scope needs to be completed and accurate. So this one too is trying to say that missing details in the scope can also cause what? Delay and what? Overspending. So here, that's why we are saying that scope must be what? Must be complete and what? Accurate. Because if it is incomplete or inaccurate, then it is going to give us a problem, such as what? One, it can cause delayance, and another problem associated with what? Inaccurate scope can be what? Over spending or extra what? Costs. Then the third problem associated with project scope is the scope creep. Okay, which leads to what? Okay, so the primary cause of late deliveries and never-ending projects, to avoid this, the scope document needs to be finalized and remain unaltered for the duration of the project. So that one too also talks about what? Changing scope during the project can also lead to a delay, and the project that's never what? Finished. So here too, we are saying that scope should be finalized and maintained throughout the project. The fourth point talks about uncollaborated scope. Uncollaborated scope. So it reads, a scope that is not collaborative prepared causes misinterpretations in requirements and design. So to avoid this, the scope document should be shared with all stakeholders at every step in the scope definition process. So this one, somebody should explain it for us. The point 4. Yes, point 4. We are looking at some of the common problems that are associated with project scope management. So the point 4 is talking about uncollaborated scope. Please, I want somebody to come in to share what he or she understands with that point. Please, let's hurry up so that we'll be able to finish in time. Any volunteer? Any volunteer?
Madam,
Yes.
good morning. Please,
Good morning,
I'm
madam.
Faustina. I'm from Intown Prison Center. When we talk about
Okay.
uncollaborated scope, it means that like a scope of work, authority or activity that is handled independently, like without consultation or coordination, or like joint meeting, like joint decision making with the groups or the stakeholders. So like if one person or a unit work alone, like instead of others joining, that is like if others are not like working together with him or her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Faustina. Okay. So I hope we heard what our sister just said. So in summary to what she said, it means that in preparation or when preparing what the project scope, it needs what collaborative work. If it is done in individual basis, then it may cause what misunderstanding on the part of the others. So unlike an entire group coming together, share ideas to draw one what scope. So that one will prevent any problem of what misunderstanding. But if it is done on individual basis, then it may cause such problems. So this brings us to the end of session 1 under the unit 3. Please, any question that is bothering your mind concerning the session that we have just discussed, feel free and ask. Any question, please, before we proceed on to section 2. Okay, so we are moving on to session 2. So session 2 also talks about project scope management activities 1. So I think we also have project scope activities 2. So session 2 basically talks about project scope management activities. Okay. Okay. So when we say project scope or scope management plan, that is the definition per 2 points, section number 2.1, plan scope management. So here it says that plan scope management is a process of creating a scope management plan that documents how the project scope will be defined, validated, and controlled. So the key benefits of this process is that it provides guidelines and directions on how the scope will be managed throughout the project's scope management plan. okay, throughout the project. So it goes further by saying the project scope management plan is components of a project management plan that describe how the scope will be. So let's summarize this session. Okay, so now it is telling us, or it is trying to define what actually scope management plan is. So when we say scope management plan, one, note that it is a document. Please keep it in mind. Scope management plan is a document that explains how the project scope will be handled from start to finish. And also it provides clear guidance on how the work of the project will be planned, executed, checked, and controlled. Okay. So when we say it provides a clear guidance on how the work of the project will be planned, executed, checked, and controlled. Okay. Let's go further. I will tell you something. So before this, so in a nutshell, the project scope management plan, how can we define it? Or how do we say, what is it about? We have read the meaning, but per your understanding, how do you understand the plan or the project scope management plan? How do you understand it? Can somebody share what he or she knows about? Yes.
Madam, as you have already defined the scope management, to my understanding, it's a document that is helping telling you how the project is going to be. And the document is also telling you how you are going to develop the project. Then, as the project is being continued, you monitor it. How are you going to monitor the project? You control it. Then, lastly, after the end of the project, you verify whether the project is successfully done or not. So it's basically how you manage the project. That's how I understand it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, our brother. Thank you. Okay, so to add just a little to what our brother have explained, we can say that the project's scope management plan also serve as a roadmap for managing project work to ensure that everyone understands how the scope relates a related issue will be handled. So it is like a roadmap for managing the projects. Okay, so having known that, we are then moving on to the importance of scope management plan. Importance of scope management plan. I think it is in that paragraph. So what are the importance of the scope management plan? So one, we can say that it provides directions to the project team. Please, whilst we are discussing, if you have any pen and paper, I can jot some points down. Okay, so one of the importance of the scope, the project scope management plan is that it provides direction to the project team. Two, we can also say that it prevents unnecessary work. Three, we can also talk about what it reduces misunderstanding, and it also supports proper planning, and it also improves coordination. So without the project plan, projects may be what? Experience confusion, because if we say that we are going to do ABC without giving any guideline or anything, it means that and we are what? Group members who are going to undertake that project. You see that everybody is having what is her own idea. So whilst maybe team A is going to the right direction, team B will also decide to go towards the left direction. So if we have the plan that guides the project at stake, then it means that it is going to control the path that they should follow. That's why we are saying that projects, with the help of the plan, then they are going to, or without the project plan, then it is likely that the team members are going to experience what? Confusion, and there will be what? Some delay answers and uncontrolled changes. So project plan is very important. Example, in construction projects, the scope management plan may explain what? How building design will be what? Approved, and how changes will be requested, who has authority to approve extra work, and how inspection will be done. So if you have all these things as your scope, then it gives you what? The direction. Even if there's a need for you to what? Do some changes, it will direct you on the process that you need to what? To go, so that you will not go unnecessary mile, which is not what sometimes important even to the project. Okay. Then let's talk about the requirements management plan. Okay, let me so the requirements management plan also. Okay, let's go to the next. Please, we are moving to the section 2.2, that is collect requirements. Collect requirements. So here we say collect requirements is the process of determining, documenting, and managing stakeholder needs and requirements to meet project objectives. This process will give you a perfect clue of what your stakeholders want and how you are going to manage your expectations. You will document exactly what is wanted out of the project as far as status updates and final deliverables. And this information can be gathered through 4 groups. Through a focus group, interview, survey, and by creating what? Prototypes. So let's try to explain what actually this paragraph or this session is about. Okay. So when we say, or the meaning of what? Collection requirements. So the explanation that the model gave, when we say collect requirements, is the process of what? One, identifying, documenting, and managing what stakeholders need from the project. That is what? Collect requirements. Okay. It involves finding out what users, sponsors, and clients want. So we can say that it also involves writing the stakeholders' needs clearly. 3, we can say that it involves managing expectation, resolving conflicts early. So it answers the key question: what exactly do users and sponsors expect from this project? Now let's talk about the importance of collection requirements. Why is it important? Importance of collection requirements. Okay. So it is important because that process helps towards one, understand Please, can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
madam.
Thank you. So we are looking at the importance of collection requirements, and we are saying that collection requirements is important because it helps understand customers' need what clearly. It avoids misunderstanding. It reduces rework. It prevents disputes and also control costs and what schedule. Then again, you can say that it improves customer satisfaction. From there, we'll move on to the methods of collecting requirements. The methods of collection requirements. Okay, so we made mention of the focus group, interview, survey, and others. So now let us look at the various methods that we use to gather these requirements. So information is gathered using what different techniques. So how do we what get or obtain information? The process of collecting requirement, how is it being what gathered? So one, either by using interview, that is one-on-one discussion with what stakeholders. So you can engage other stakeholders to what obtain information that is required of the project. Then we can also talk about what the use of focus group. So here it means group meetings with what users to discuss needs. So then we can also talk about survey and what questionnaire, which is used when many people are involved. Then we can also obtain the information by meeting and what also workshop. So for joint discussion and what agreement during meetings and workshop, such information can be what obtained. And sometimes we can also consider the prototype. So which is what? A sample or model or early version of a product that is created before the final project is what? Completed. And it is used to show stakeholders that or what the product may look like and how it may what? Work. So typical example is before building a university website, students and staff may be interviewed to find required services. So the kind of services that they need or they want. Then an interview can be also be done to find out from the staff and the students the login features that they prefer, the payment option, the courses registration was the course registration needs, and their feedback guide was that system design. So in this same session, it also talks about the types. The types, that is where I'm looking. If somebody can figure that one out, this information can be gathered. It is important. Many. Okay, I'm coming. Okay. Yes. Please, is somebody stand up? Nicholas.
Yes. Yes. You are asking of the types.
Uh-huh. Uh, can you find it in the document?
According to what? Yes. Yeah. You have the
Okay,
business
okay.
type, technical solution, transition, project, and quality.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so now let's talk about the types of requirements. Okay, so under the types, we have for the business requirements. The business requirements. So the business requirements explain why the project is being what carried out and what organizational goal it what supports. So for example, to increase student enrollment by 20% within 2 years. So that one is what business, an example of a business requirement. I said that it explains why the project is being carried out. So example, why this project is being what carried out, then you can say that it is carried out to maybe to find out what the enrollment by 20% within 2 years. Okay, then we the second one is stakeholder requirements. So with the stakeholder requirements, that one also describes the need of what users, sponsors, and managers. The needs of users, sponsors, and managers. For example, lecturers need smart board and what internet access. So that one is what an example of a stakeholder requirement, because you know that lecturers are also parts or are classified under the stakeholders in the university. So when we take the university, for instance, and we are to do the stakeholder requirements, we can say that, or even the students, we can also say that, who can give me an example relating student to the stakeholder requirements? I want somebody to also come out because I have used lecturers need smart board and internet access. So that is an example of a stakeholder requirement. I want somebody to use students, yes, for the stakeholder requirements. I want somebody to just try. Hello. 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 Yes. Nicholas.
Yeah, madam, about the student requirement, I will also talk of uh, environmental friendly, like the building. It should be disability friendly to those students
Okay.
who cannot walk, but
Okay.
they use wheel to attend class. So they should
Okay.
consider that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you. Okay. So let's proceed on to the other type of the requirements. So we have solution requirements, which also describe how the final products or service will meet stakeholders' what need. And under that, we have what functional requirements. That is what the system must do. For example, a system must what generate student transcripts what automatically. And so either we have functional requirements or non-functional requirements. So with the non-functional requirements, that one also explains how well the system must perform. And the system one explains what the system must do. Please, let me take it again. We are under the solution requirement. And I said that with the solution requirements, as part of what the main types of requirements, it describes how the final product or service will meet stakeholders' need. So with the solution requirements, we have either functional requirements or non-functional requirements. And when we say functional requirements, it explains what the system must do. And the non-functional also explains how well the system must perform. And I gave an example under the functional as a system must generate student transcripts automatically. That is what the system must do. But when it comes to what the system must perform, then we can also give this example as what a system must be secured and available 24 hours. Then the fourth requirement, which is what? The transition requirements. So when we say transition requirements, they are temporary needs required during what? Change. So for example, train staff before switch towards new system. Then we also have project requirements, which describe what the project must achieve. So for example, it should be completed or it should complete construction in what? 10 months or 3 years. So that is what the project requirement is about. It describes what the project must achieve. So for example, by the end of the 10th month, the project construction needs to be completed. Then we have quality requirements. So the quality requirements specify performance and safety standards. Quality requirements specify performance and safety standard. An example, wall must meet fire resistance standard. Okay. So we now move on to section 2.2.1, that is requirements documentation. Requirements documentation. So here it says requirement documentation describes how individual requirements meet the business need for the project. Components of requirement documentation can include, but are not limited to, business requirements. Okay. For example, business and project objective for traceability, business rule. We also have, okay, so this, I think we have talked about these ones. Okay, so let's also move on to the 2.3 as define scope. Define scope. Okay, so let me talk about the requirements documentation. So when we say requirements documentation, it is a formal record of all approved requirements and how they support business goals. A formal record of all approved requirements and how they support business goals. And it ensures nothing is forgotten. Requirements are traceable, changes are controlled, and responsibilities are clear. And per their components, we have business requirements, stakeholders requirements, So when we say business requirement here, it includes what company rules and what objectives. Then stakeholders requirements. This is what I'm talking about. We are here, stakeholders requirements. That one also include what? Communication and reporting needs. Then solution requirements also include what? Software features and training plan. The project requirements also include safety and performance standard. Transition requirements include data migration and training plans. Okay. Now we are moving on to session number 2.3. Which is what? Define scope. Define scope. So here it says, define scope is the process of developing a detailed description of the project and products. This essentially is about creating your scope statement. The basis of this is a clear appreciation of your project deliverables. At this point, you are set to put down what is in scope and what is out of scope. Okay, so let me pause here and ask, the little that I have read from the model, when we say define scope, what do you understand by define scope? Albert? Hello? 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 Daniel? Daniel? Okay. Ah, hello?
Hello.
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Hello? Hello? Hello, please, can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Everyone, I can hear you.
I hear you. Um,
Okay.
okay.
So when we
So when
say
we say
define scope, when we say define scope, it's the process of developing a clear and detailed description of what the project will deliver. That is define scope. The process of developing a clear and detailed description of what the project will deliver. And this is done through the project scope statement. It answers what exactly will this project produce. That is what it answers. What exactly will this project produce? So if you ask yourself that question, then obviously you are going to provide an output that at the end of the project, what is going to be what? Achieved. Okay. What are the importance of defined scope? what are the importance of defined scope? Okay. Can somebody guess and give me just one example or one importance of defined scope? So we can say that it helps to clarify duties. Okay, somebody stand up. Yes, Nicholas.
Um, yeah. Define scope also help us to set expectations.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit for us?
Yes. Because a defined scope already is a set and boundaries for the project. So
Okay.
since the boundaries and deliverable of the project, you know where you are going. So you will not go overboard. So your expectation is what you are heading towards to. So it helps you to meet that, to set up such expectation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any addition? Hello? Hello?
Yes, madam.
Yes, Joseph Tete.
Okay, so madam, I also say when you know the defined scope, it also helps you to avoid waste. In the sense that, in the sense that uh, you only produce to meet what you are aiming at achieving, and so it helps to avoid waste.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is that all that we can think of? Okay. It also prevents conflicts. And we can also add um, uh, it also reduces what confusion. So in short, we can say that the project scope clearly shows what is what included and excluded. So on the part of what is included in the scope and what is excluded is what out of scope. So that is what the project scope, that is the clear detailed description. So meaning that what entails in the project, not any additional task. Please, is somebody sound up?
Yes, ma'am.
Postina, okay.
Madam. So
Yes,
I
please.
want to add one importance of the
Okay,
defined
madam.
scope. Please, it enhances accountability. This
Enhances,
implies
okay,
accountability. This
okay,
implies that when the scope is clearly defined, it becomes easy to assess who is responsible for what and to measure performance against set duties and then objectives. Thank you.
thank you too, madam. Please, will somebody also like to add anything?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
Yeah, madam, it improves control and monitoring.
Control and monitoring.
And progress can be measured against the defined scope. What it
Okay.
means is that, yes, you can assess and monitor and ensure that the project is online with your objectives and your missions.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Would somebody also like to add what he or she has or share with us? Is it Maurice? Do you want to say something?
Mama, I just spoke, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So please, let's proceed on to components of project scope statement. Components of project scope statement. That is 2.3.1. It says the detailed project scope statement usually include the following. So those are the components of the project scope. So let's take them one by one. Please, are you there? 2.3.1. It talks about the components of what? Project scope. So looking at the components, we have project scope description. Project scope description. So the project scope description describes what the final project will look like. For example, a 3-story office building with 20 offices, elevator, and what? Parking. So this is clearly telling us what exactly the final project will look like. A 3-story building office with 20 office. So it means that if you don't know anything, you can just picture that, oh, the building or the project that they are undertaking, at the end of it, at least we are going to get what, 20 offices in the building. There should be an elevator and what, a parking. Okay. Another component for the project scope statement is acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria. So with the acceptance criteria, there are the conditions that must be what met before the approval. So an example is the building must pass fire and safety inspection. So that's an acceptance criteria. Then we have deliverables. Deliverables also talks about all outputs produced by the project. An example, completed classrooms, reports, software systems. Then we have project exclusions. So the project exclusions are what? Work not included. Works not included in the project. An example is no furniture or landscaping will be what? Provided. So it means that maybe there could be what? An initial construction project. So it's assumed that by the end or the output of that project, so at the end of it, since furniture was not part of what the specification or was not required, it is assumed that no furniture will be what? Provided. So that is project exclusion, work not included in the project. Then we have constraints. So in projects, when we talk of constraints, limitation affecting the project. Example is what? Please, what are the project constraints? Let's name them. What are they? Yes. Hello. Hello.
And I can hear you.
Okay. So what are the project constraints? Yes, Nicholas. Nico, we are listening.
One is predefined budget.
Okay. So simply we can say budget. Thank you. We have budgets. Yes. Who again? Albert,
Madam, we have time and then the legal requirement.
time and what legal requirements? Okay. Okay, so we can say time. Okay, thank you, Albert. Is that all? The project constraints, what are they?
Madam, resources.
Yes, resources. Thank you very much. Okay.
I think cost is part. Cost the same as budget here.
Yes, cost. So either you say cost or budget. So the three constraints and in additional is what the quality. Okay. Then I think the fourth the sixth component is what assumptions. Assumptions. They are the factors believed to be what true. So an example is what electricity supply will be what stable. So sometimes that is what we believe, whether it is true or not. Okay. So in this session, in conclusion, we have learned the scope management plan, which guide how project work is what handled. When we say project scope management plan, it guides how project work is what handled. And we also talked about the requirement management plan, which also controls stakeholder needs. We also talked about collect requirements, which identifies what stakeholders want. We also talked about requirement documentation that records all needs. Then we also talk about define scope, which decides what will be done. And last but not least, the scope statement, which explains what boundaries. Okay, so any question before we move on to project scope management activities too? I think we have to move fast so that we'll be able to finish. So let me move.
Yeah. Madam,
so, yes, sir.
madam,
Yes, please.
yeah. The assumption that you just mentioned,
Mhm.
the assumption that you just mentioned,
Okay.
can we also say that it is also the items or factors that have direct impact on the project?
Direct impact on the, so how would you explain regarding to direct impact on the project? So please, let me ask, so can you give an example of such any factor that has direct impact on the project? Nicholas.
Hello,
Nicholas,
madam.
please, were you the one
Yes,
who?
hello.
Okay.
Yes, I was saying, like maybe power. You need power for the project, but because of maybe lack of power, other source of power, the project may become the standstill. So power have direct impact on the project, or materials.
Okay, so here
shortage of
I
materials.
think the concentration is not the factors which have a direct impact on the project. The main concentration is on what did you just let me go there. The assumption. So even apart from the power, I think we could also use a different example in which maybe we could assume to be true on parts of the project. So not necessarily the impacts, but here the focus is on the assumption, something that we believe to be what true. That is the main idea. So with the power as the direct, electricity as a direct impact, though that one is not necessary per what you were asking. But the key focus is factors believed to be what true. I don't know if you are also getting me well. But please,
Yes, madam.
okay. So I was coming to say that maybe let's keep that one when we finish, because I want us to finish within by the 1 hour. We have spent 1 hour. We are not done with the half. Okay, the session 3. So please let's move a little bit faster. Session 3 talks about project scope management activities 2. So the 3.1, we have create a work breakdown structure. So some in project work, anytime that you see WBS, that is what work breakdown structure. Okay. Okay, so when we say work breakdown structure, it's a way of breaking the entire project into what? Smaller, more manageable what? Tasks. And it is based on the project scope statements and requirements collected what? Earlier. And by creating the work breakdown structure, the project manager and the team can see all deliverables clearly and assign specific responsibilities for each what task. So that is the essence of breaking the project into what into several of into what further structure, because when it is a very complex project, sometimes you find it difficult to assign. For example, if we are putting up about 10 10-story building and we don't break down the structure, or that we right from the words, the word go, though we have project team members, the stakeholders who are coming to work hand in hand with that project to be accomplished. It is necessary to break down the complex projects into what? Into smaller activities, so that maybe we can say that this group of people are taking care of what? Is it the roofing, the tiles, the plumbing? So meaning that work will be assigned specifically towards a group of people, and it makes supervision work very easy. If you don't assign work to individual like that, and it is on what? A wide base. You see, when you come and there is fault somewhere, who are you going to work to ask or consult? For work breakdown structure is what? Very important in projects. And according to okay, so according to PMI definition, creating work breakdown structure is the process of subdividing projects deliverables and project work into smaller, more manageable components, as we just said. And we made mention, or we discussed the benefits. We said that it provides clear, structured view of what needs to be delivered. And it also helps organize and manage the project effectively. Okay, so for example, for a building foundation, that is the main deliverable. The work breakdown structure in a building, or the main deliverable, they contain what? Trenching, pouring concrete, laying footings, filling up and what? Footings. Then we have casting over the footings. So breaking it down like this make the work easier to manage and what? Track. So major output of work breakdown structure creation. That is the what? The scope baseline. So the scope baseline is what? The approved version, the scope baseline. So under the scope baseline, we also have a project scope statement. So when we say the project scope statement, that describes the project scope, major deliverables, assumptions, and what constraint. And the work breakdown structure is the hierarchical breakdown of the project work. So we have the validate scope. Let me see if we have validate scope. Okay. Validate scope. So validate scope is the process of formalizing acceptance of a completed project deliverables. This is where your deliverables are reviewed by whoever needs to approve them, whether it be a customer, stakeholder, manager, or all three. Okay, so in short, when we say validate scope, is the process of what? Officially confirming that the goods or all the materials in the project, that the project output delivered in the project meet what? The agreed upon what? Requirements. And it is the checking that what has been delivered is what was what? Ordered. And then getting formal approval from customer, stakeholders, or project sponsor. And we have the purpose of doing that. It ensures that the deliverables from the supplier or from what? The contractors are completed and meet the agreed acceptance criteria in project scope statements. And we can also say that some of the purpose is what? Plan for action. So there should be a clear plan for how the project deliverables will be what? Reviewed and approved. Okay, so let us try to distinguish between validate scope and control quality. So when we say validate scope, it focuses on what? Accepting deliverables. But control quality focuses on what? Checking the correctness and quality of deliverables. So we have output of validate scope. Output of validate scope. Okay. So one, we have what? Accepted deliverables, change requests, work performance information, and project works, document updates. So when we take accepted deliverables, they are deliverables from what? The contractors that meet the accepted criteria that were formally approved and signed off. Then we have change requests. When we say change requests, let's say if deliverables do not meet the criteria, then reasons are what? Documented and a change request is submitted to fix defects or adjust the delivery. We have work performance information. That is information about progress of the projects deliverables. So, such as what was being delivered, and what is still in what progress, and what has been accepted. So here in summary, under the validated validate scope. Okay. In summary, we are saying that in projects, validate scope, ensure that everything you ordered is delivered correctly and approved formally, whilst keeping a record of any needed changes or progress and updates to project documentation. So 3.3 talks about control scope. Control scope. Control scope is the process of monitoring the status of projects and product scope and managing changes to the scope baseline. So here is the process of monitoring and the project and product scope and managing any changes to the scope baseline. So it is talking about tracking of how work is supposed to be done. That is the project scope, and making sure that no extra work sneaks in without proper approval. Three point 3.1, the control process results in the following. So 3.3.1, that is where we are. So it says the control processes result in the following output. So here it is telling us the output of control scope. That is the work performance information. So an output of control scope is one of them is work performance information. That is, it provides detail on how the project scope is performing compared to scope baseline. Then we have change requests, project management plan updates. We also have organizational process assets updates. Please, let's move on to session 4. Session 4, introduction to project time management. Introduction to project time management. So when we say project time management, according to PM book, project management include the processes required to manage the timely completion of the projects. According to PM book, that is project management body of knowledge. This is how they define project time management. It includes the process required to manage the timely completion of the projects. So in simple terms, project time management means planning how long each task will be will take, scheduling when each task should be done, monitoring progress, controlling delays. And its main purpose is to ensure the project is being completed on time. So those are the advantages or the essence of Okay. So let's take the point 2. Please, we are the project management, project time management. Okay, so we have defined it according to the PM book. Now, we are saying that the main purpose of project time management is to ensure the project is being completed on time. So project time management involves managing time spent, the progress made on tasks, the sequence of what activities. So we can also say that project time management is one of the 9 knowledge areas in project management. That shows that a very important part of what managing project. Because of its importance, project managers must: 1, identify the right inputs, use proper tool and technique, and apply correct method to manage time. So we have illustration of importance of what time management. So here your document gave an example. Let me search for that one. Let me read the example so that when you go, you find time and waste, since we are behind time. So when you decide to, let's say, clean your storeroom using your spare time without fixing a specific time, the work may be may never be done. So this example shows that without schedule, deadline, or time planning, tasks are often postponed and may never be completed. And another example is if a student is assigned a research project but does not set deadline for topic selection, data collection, or even writing submission, the project is likely to be delay or rush at the last minute. So this shows why time management is very essential. So in summary, we are saying that time management is very essential because it helps 1, it assures, or there is an assurance of project success. If there is time management, then there is assurance of project success. Then we can say that there is effectiveness and efficiency, because when time is well managed, activities are done within deadline. Team members also use time wisely, and productivity also increases. And another importance of the time management is reduction of stress. So that one, when there's poor management, it creates stress because work will pile up and deadlines are also missed. So when time is properly managed, tasks are clearly identified, workflows are well designed, and deadlines are also known in advance. Progress are monitored. So let me summarize the session 4. All that we say or we discussed was that project time management is about planning, scheduling, monitoring, and controlling project activities to ensure timely completion. And according to PM book, it focuses on managing time spent and progress made on tasks. And it is one of the 9 key knowledge area in project management, showing its importance. because without time management, projects may be delayed, goals may not be achieved, stress increases, quality also reduces. So we also said that with good time management, projects are completed on time, work is efficient and effective, stress is reduced, and quality is improved. Okay, so please let's move on to project time management activity 1 for session number 5 under unit 3. Project time management activity 1. Okay, let's proceed. So the first activity in the managing time when undertaking a project is to plan schedule management. So plan schedule management according to PMI is the process of establishing policies, procedures, and documentation for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the project schedule. Hence, the objective of this activity is to ensure that, okay. So here we are saying that 5.1 is trying to define what plan schedule management is. So here it's saying that the first step in managing time, the first step in managing time in projects is planning how the schedule will be managed. And according to PMI, plan schedule management is the process of establishing policies, procedures, and documentation for planning, developing, managing, executing, and controlling the schedule. So in simple terms, we can say that planning in advance how the project timetable will be prepared, used, monitored, and controlled. And the main objective is to ensure that the project is completed on time. So the main reason why we plan, we develop, we manage, execute, control the project schedule is that the project will be completed on time. Then we have roles. Roles of plan schedule management. Role of plan schedule management. So the role of plan schedule management, that one is the process that provides guidance and direction on how the project schedule will be handled from start to finish. So at that point, the project team determines what activity will be done, who will do them, and how long they will take. We are at 5. We are 5.1.1, session 5.1.1. Because of time factor, I can't read everything in the model. So when we get there, then I summarize. So 5.1.1. Okay, it's talking about the guidelines provided by plan schedule management. So we say that plan schedule management give guidelines on the on the following. We have project schedule model what development. So when we say project schedule model development, it specifies the scheduling method to be what used and the scheduling software or what tool. For example, using Microsoft Project or Gantt chart to prepare the project timetable. Then we can also talk of level of accuracy. The level of accuracy shows how close the estimated time should be what? Should be relative. And it may include contingency time for unexpected delay. So an example, if an activity is estimated to take 10 days, a contingency of what? 2 days may be what? Added. Then we have units of measurement. That one too defines the units used in the project, such as staff hours, staff days, weeks, meters, liters, ton, and others. So an example is a road project may what? Measure work in kilometers, while labor is measured in by what? Staff days. Then we have project schedule model maintenance. That one explains how the schedule will be updated during project execution. An example, updating progress every week to reflect completed tasks. And the last but not least is what? Control threshold. Control threshold, which also talks about the limits set for acceptable variation in the schedule. And they show when action must be what? Taken if delay occur. An example, if delay exceeds 10%, then corrective action must be what? Taken. Okay. Then section number 5.1.2, which is issues. Where is it? 5.1.2, it is talking about issues addressed by what? Schedule management plan. So let's look at some of the what issues that the schedule management plan deals with. So one, we have an issue like how to create the schedule. How to create the schedule. So that one explains the project task, resource required, effort needed, and scheduling what method. For example, breaking a building project into foundation, wall, roofing, and finishing. And another issue is what? Tool for scheduling. So the tools for scheduling are the tools used to prepare and manage what? Schedules. Example, Microsoft projects, Excel, Gantt chart, and others. Then the third one, managing variances. So variances are difference between planned schedules and what? Actual performance. The plan helps managers to correct delay early. So example is if plumbing is behind schedule, then more works may be what? Added. So the model, they refer to a certain figure, but it's not showing here. Okay. So we now move on to 5.2. 5.2, define activities. Define activities. So after planning how to manage time, the next step is what? Defining all project activities. And define activities is the process of identifying and documenting all tasks needed to produce project deliverables. So in a sample form, we can say that Defined activities are what? Breaking the whole project into what? Small and manageable tasks. And let's discuss some of the importance of what? Defining activities. So one, defining activities helps to what? Estimate time, prepare schedule, assign resources, monitor progress, and what? Control works. And so without clearly defining activities, project planning becomes what? Difficult. For example, for a classroom construction project, instead of saying build classroom, activities are what? Breaking into clear land. So maybe if we want to undertake a project with what? Building a classroom. So we can further break it by what? Assigning how to first clear the land to what? A certain group of what? Members. Then another part will be assigned to the people who are coming to what? Dig the foundation, and those who will be laying the block, doing the roofing, and what? Paint the wall, instead of saying that build classroom. So sometimes it is very important to break them into what? Simple units, so that it becomes what? Very simple to monitor, and at the same time, it's even what? Reduces let's say time. Unlike, because if you assign a specific task to somebody, you see that the person is much concerned on his or her what? The role. Unlike giving them in general, whereby some people may choose to relax and for the project to what? To progress. So under that one too, we have what? Outputs of defined activities. Output of defined activities. Where is it? Okay, you can write it somewhere. When you go place, you check. Okay. So when defined activities is done, then there are other outputs that are also need to be what? Produced. For one, we have activity lists. So the activity list is what? A complete list of all activities needed for what? The project. And it includes activity what? Identifier and description of work. Example, activity number 1, that is what? Dig foundation. Activity number 2, pour concrete. Okay. Then we also have activity attributes. The activity attributes provide more detailed about each activity, such as name and code, description, successor activity, that is what comes after. Then we resource requirement, constraint, assumption. Then we also have what? Milestone, which is a significant point or event in what? A project. It shows that an important stage has been what? Completed. So a milestone have what? 0 duration, no cost, no resource. And they represent moments in time. For example, a foundation completed on Monday, blocks laying completed on what? 31st maybe of February, or gas installation connected at what? This month end. So it shows that a major stage has been what? Achieved. And we have importance of what? Milestone. We can say that milestones help to what? Track progress, motivate workers, especially when the work is not what? Progressing. Then it evaluates performance, because we can simply use the milestone to check whether the project team are doing the actual work or not doing the actual work. And at the same time, we can say that it also helps us to report to the stakeholders. So, example, a client may release what payment when a milestone is what reached. Okay. So let me summarize session 5. Okay, so with the session 5, it explains the main activities involved in the project type management. And the key points are plan schedule management, define activities, milestone. And together, these processes help project managers to plan work properly, avoid delays, use time efficiently, improve project success. Okay. 5.3. Okay, so we now move on to session 5.6, estimate activity resource. So after sequencing activity, the next step is to determine what resources are needed to complete each activity. And this process is called estimate activity resources. So it simply means estimating the type of resources, the quantity of resources, the quality or the characteristics of the resources. And these resources may include human resources, that is the workers, engineers, supervisors, and material. When it comes to material, then we can also give an example as cement, wood, wires. Under the resource, we can think of equipment such as machine, tool, then even what do you call it? Okay, let me take supplies as fuel, stationery, or others. And the main goal is to know exactly what is needed to complete each task properly. So an example is for painting, a building may need 3 painters, 20 tins of paint, 5 ladders, brushes, and roller. If these are not planned early, the project may stop due to lack of resources. Because if maybe you assign somebody to do painting somewhere for you, and with the provision of the resources, you fail to provide let's say the painting brush, it means that the painting work is going to be it's not going to be commenced since a resource was not included. Okay. Then 3.4.1, that is the output of 3.4.1. That is the output of estimate activity resource. So when activity resources are properly estimated, then some outputs are achieved. Some of the output that could be achieved are activity resource requirements. Then we can also talk about resources breakdown structure. So let me take activity resources requirements. So with the activity resources requirements, we say that in fact, that one is a document that shows the type and quantities of resources needed for each activity. and it answers questions such as how many workers are needed, what material are required, how much equipment are what needed. So this one is similar example that I gave under the painting. Then the resource breakdown structure. So a resource breakdown structure is what? A chart that group project resources into categories and types. And it is arranged in what? Hierarchical manner. So the main categories include labor, material, equipment, supplies, and each category is then divided into what? Types. For example, we have labor, that is engineer, technicians, laborers. When it comes to equipment, we can also think of excavator, generator, mixer. So this structure helps a manager organize and monitor how resources are being used. Then we have project documents updates. Project documents updates. Okay. So with the project documents updates, after estimating resources, some documents must be updated, including activity lists, activity attributes, and resource calendar. So a resource calendar also shows when specific resources are available. For example, if your machine is only available in March and April, the schedule must reflect to that. Then updating these documents also ensure proper coordination and planning. I think our time is almost exhausted, and we are left with the last session, which is the project time management activity 2. So so project time management activity 2, activity 2. So that one is 6.1, session number 6.1. So let me summarize that one so that when you go, you read over. Maybe when we get time later somewhere, we can also come back and revisit it. So the activity or estimate activity duration. So here, after identify activities and resources, the next step is to estimate how long each activity will take. And this is called estimate activity duration. And it means predicting the amount of time needed to complete each task in the project. So the process helps the project manager to know how many days, weeks, or months each activity will require, how long the entire project will take. And the main benefit is that it provides time estimates that is used in creating project schedule. Okay. Let me move straight to 6.1.1, which talks about output of estimates activity duration. Let me see. Activity. Okay, 6.1.1. So here we are saying that when the process is done well, then a certain results are being achieved. So one, we are saying that activity duration estimates, then project document updates. We also have, okay, let me take that too so that you will not be confused. Okay, so activity duration estimates, and we are saying that they are written record showing how long each activity is expected to take. I think this one I have explained it already. Then we have project documents updates. So some documents must be what? Updated, such as activity attributes, assumption used for what? Estimation and what? Basis of estimate. Okay. 6.2, which is develop schedule. So after estimating duration, the next step is to create the full project timetable, and it is called develop schedule. That one involves analyzing activity sequences, then duration estimates, and resources requirements, and what? Constraints, that is limitations such as deadline or what? Budget. And all this information is entered into the what? Scheduling tool to create the project schedule. And the main benefit is that it produces a clear timetable showing when each activity will start and finish. And we have output of developed schedule. So when schedule is done properly, we also have certain outputs are being achieved. For example, one was schedule baseline. So the schedule baseline is an officially approved project timetable. It shows the original plan starts and what finish dates, and it can only be what changed through the formal approval. Then we have project schedule. Okay, so I think I have to leave you to go and prepare. Please, when are you going for the second lecture?
9:30.
9:30.
Yes, please.
Okay. I just want to rush through this. When you go, please read over. When maybe we get any time somewhere, then we can maybe come back and finish this very session. But in the meantime, I wanted us to go through quickly, just using about 5 minutes so that you go and prepare for the next lecture. So let me take the 6.4, then you go. Okay, so with the project schedule, it is the detailed timetable showing activities, duration, date, milestones, and what? Resources. At early stage, the schedule may be what? Preliminary until all resources are what? Confirmed. And the schedule can be presented as summary schedule, that is the main milestone, or detailed schedule, that is all activities. Okay, so we have schedule presentation formats, which is they are often shown using charts such as bar charts like Gantt charts, which shows activities and their duration using bars. Then we have milestone charts, which also shows major project events. We have network diagram. They also show activity relationship. So for example, a Gantt chart may show what? Construction lasting from January to, let's say, December. Then we have schedule dates. So with the schedule dates, it is a supporting information used to manage and control what time. It includes activity detail, milestone, assumption, and constraint. Then 6.2.1, updates project documents after developed schedule. I think that is the last one. Let me see. Okay, let me summarize this one so that you leave. When we get time, then we'll come back and do it properly. So let me summarize the session 6 so that okay. So with the summarizing the 6.4, the control schedule, we said that it ensures what progress is monitored, delays are identified early, approved changes are what managed, and performance is measured, risks are what reduced, and lessons are learned. And the control schedule help project managers keep projects on time, organized, and under control. Please, when you go, you just go through the session number 6. When we get any free time, we will revisit it. Please, if you have anything to say, you can also suggestion or whatever you can say so that you break for the next lecture. Hannah, do you have something to say? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Franklin, do you have something to say?
No, madam.
I want to leave you so that you'll be able to prepare for the next lecture.
All right.
Okay. So hope to meet you. When you get any free time, let me know so that we'll come back and for the session 6. So if you don't have anything to say, then I think we can also break for other activities.
Thank you, madam.
Hey, what you want? I don't know what you do. Mana sarva de pan mama na baba na yam. Na mun wata na diwe na mami. Na radiya.
Yeah, Hannah. Hannah. Hannah.
Mana.
Hannah.
Yeah.